We are pleased to have you on here, and we're pleased to present Jessica Alvarez in our Bellevue, Washington office. She works in compliance and has taken the lead for us on cybersecurity and what Cutler has been doing to prevent cyber hackings and common cyber threats. So we're going to give you some pointers today on what you can do. If you have questions as we go along, there is a chat box. We will have staff working the chat box, and you're welcome to send any questions. If it's something that you would like Jessica to address directly, we'll get her the message and have a chance to kind of discuss it online. Please don't forget to mute your phones if you haven't already. And with that, I'd like to present Jessica Alvarez.
All right. Thank you, Matt, and thank you for everyone for joining us today. All right. The first thing we're going to talk about is what good is cybersecurity presentation without some hard facts to remind us of why we're here and why this is so important. As you can see from this slide, cybercrimes are on the rise. The number of cyber incidents, the cost of mitigation, and the sophistication of cybercriminals are all steadily increasing. My intention isn't to frighten you, but the reality is that for many people, it's not a matter of if, but when they'll become victims of cybercrime. It is critically important that we work together to protect your assets. So while Cutler takes protective measures and constantly adjusts our cybersecurity programs to keep up with emerging cyber trends, the very best way to enhance these efforts is for you, me, and Cutler to work together to ensure these criminals can't access your personal data or accounts. Here are the topics that we're going to cover today: some common cyber threats and how cyber criminals use your stolen data once they get it, and then some tips on how we protect your data, and then, of course, how you can also protect your data. And then at the end, there are some other helpful resources that we will present to you. All right, here is what we're going to talk about, common cyber threats. The first one is email account takeover. This is one of the more prevalent threats we see today, and these scams are becoming increasingly sophisticated and complicated, so it's harder to recognize that your email account has been compromised. It's fairly common for emails to be hacked. Cybercriminals who gain access to an email account will often go through the entire inbox, outbox, and all folders to learn all they can about the individual, their accounts, and important details about the relationship between the individual and their financial advisor and banker, as well as typical patterns of behavior including travel, wire requests, etc., so they can better impersonate you and successfully request funds or money to be wired or transferred. I read a scary statistic the other day that you are now 10 times more likely to have your email account hacked than your house broken into. And I know millions of people, and maybe some of you on the call, also experienced this just a couple months ago when Yahoo email accounts were breached. And so we just know that even nobody really is safe these days with large email accounts. All right. That's what it looks like, and how it happens is they will find vulnerabilities in your IP addresses and gain your access to your login credentials or log into your email account directly without you knowing it. And the impact of this is that this used to be pretty easy to detect when somebody was into your account because it would be in broken English and kind of hard to understand, so we knew that it wasn't you. But the sophistication of cyber criminals today has really been great, and now it's really hard to detect if it's you or not. So how do we defend against this? I really want to stress the importance of strong passwords that are at least 8 characters long and utilizing two-factor authentication when possible. And we will always verify your identity when we talk to you on the phone, and if we do not accept email requests for funds to be wired or transferred, so you don't have to worry about that with us. All right, the next cyber threat is malware, which is malicious software. And we've all probably seen a an example of this is you're on the internet and all of a sudden a box pops up and says, your computer is infected, click on this link to clean it up. But really that link is actually the malware and it is infecting their computer, and they can delete files or even record what you're doing so they can enter in your usernames and passwords later. So the best way to defend against this is to install the most up-to-date antivirus and anti-spyware software on all your devices, including your cell phones, your tablets, and your personal computers. Don't forget your cell phones because they also need anti-spyware software. And you also want to make sure that your equipment is up-to-date and supported by the manufacturer. If you have old technology, then they are probably not keeping up with it and updating security updates on that. And now, more than ever, those that get left behind stay behind and are increasingly vulnerable to security breaches. So you just want to keep that in mind when you are thinking about buying new technology. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is phishing. What is phishing? Well, it's not trying to catch a salmon, and it's not following around a popular 90s jam band. It is when cybercriminals pretend to be someone that you know, and they acquire your personal information, such as usernames, passwords, and social security. For instance, a phishing attack may send 1 million emails out targeting a firm's account holders, and the majority of people who are emailed won't have an account with the firm, so they immediately reject the email as fraudulent. However, the small percentage of recipients who do have an account may fall victim. I have an example of this. Just the other day, I received an email from Wells Fargo asking me to click on the link to update my personal account information with my checking account there. And I knew that this was a fraud because I don't have a Wells Fargo account, but after I looked more closely at the email, I realized that if I did have a Wells Fargo account, I would probably click on that link because it looked so real. So what I did is a little trick that you can do is you can hover your mouse over the link and it will show you where it's directing you to, and the link literally said spam.phishing.45678 and a long string of numbers. So I knew that if I clicked on that link, I was not going to the Wells Fargo site. All right. And next we're going to go to Credential Replay. How does this happen? Human nature plays a role because cybercriminals know that most people reuse the same login credentials on multiple accounts. And this is actually one of my 2 biggest pet peeves that I will share with you today. We all have so many usernames and passwords to remember these days: our email accounts, Facebook, bank account, your Match.com dating profile. So it's probably easy to just use the same password on a couple of sites thinking that you'll be okay, but then you realize that you used the same password for your bank account that you did for your Board Game Geek account, and once the hacker has access to that, they can have access to all of your personal information. So how to defend against this: you want to have a unique password for each account, and make each password long and strong. Use at least 8 characters, upper and lowercase symbols. And if another way to do this, if you don't want to have separate emails, separate passwords for each account, you can use what's called a password manager, which is very popular today. One that I personally use is called LastPass. It's where you only have to remember one master password, and the program will generate really strong passwords for you on all of your different sites, so that once you enter your master password in, it will automatically put in your strong password. So that's easy for you to remember. You only have to remember that one master password. If you have any questions about that, feel free to call me or email me later and ask me more about how to set up a password manager. All right, the next thing we're talking about is social engineering. What this is somebody posing as someone that you know to try to get personal information from you. So say you are on Facebook and you get a message from your Aunt Martha, who you haven't talked to in a long time, but she just joined social media and she wants to send you a birthday card. So she messages you and asks you for your birthday and address. So, of course, you give it to her, and then your birthday comes and goes, and you realize you never received a card from Aunt Martha, so you call her, and she doesn't have any idea what you're talking about because she doesn't have a Facebook account, and now you've just given your birth date and address to someone that you don't know. So this is really important because we may think that there is no harm in posting where we are or photos of our family online, but this is basically uncharted territory in technology, and we don't know, sorry, I went back. We don't know what this is going to cause in the future. It's kind of like our generation smoking, so I really advise you to be careful on what you post online in your social media accounts. All right, the next one is call forwarding. While cell phone technology has made a huge difference in the way we communicate and the speed with which we can get and stay in touch, it also provides a lucrative channel for scammers and snoopers who use the technology to steal our money or our identity and even to track our movements and listen to our conversations. Technological advances have made for some forms of telephone fraud more difficult, but the use of cell phones by cybercriminals is still very common and requires our vigilance in detecting and averting their breaches. So a good way to look at this is look at your phone bills at the end of the month and make sure that any outgoing calls don't look suspicious, because while they may use your phone number, it's still going to show up on your cell phone account to see which numbers they actually called. And we will always verify your identity when you call us, and some of our clients have actually given us secret passphrases that we've put in their file so that when they call us, they say the secret passphrase and we know that it's them if we can't verify their identity another way. So feel free to call us if you want to set up a secret passcode in your file for us to have. All right. So those were the common cyber threats, and now we're going to talk about how cyber criminals use your stolen data once they get it. And really, we all know that what they're looking for when they get our social security numbers and our passwords and our credit card numbers is they want your money. And who do they call? They call us, your financial advisors, because we have access to your money. So I know that I've probably scared you a little bit, but I want to let you know that we at Cutler have never let fraudulent transactions happen, and that is because we have a strict cybersecurity program of policies and procedures to authenticate your identification and safeguard your assets. Our compliance department stays up to date on the latest trends in cybercrime, and we work closely with our IT department to make sure that we have the technology to combat these threats. We will also run criminal background checks on all new employees as well as new vendors that we work with. And we also routinely perform due diligence on our current vendors to make sure that they are also up to date on their cybersecurity program. We also have staff training. We have continual internal and external training on cybersecurity. We have a program where we send fake phishing emails to our employees, and if they click on a link that is fraudulent, they have to watch a video on why that was bad and learn how to not do it in the future. We also have ongoing client education because, as I said before, you are an important part of how we protect your assets. We're committed to helping you protect your own data. This is our second cybersecurity event, and we plan to continue to host these events. We are going to have an updated schedule of the next 12 to 18 months of other cybersecurity events posted on our website in early 2017, so be sure to check back for that. And again, we will always verbally authenticate your identification before proceeding with a transaction, and we will always require a signature for transfers to third parties. But it's not just on us. You are also a big part in how we protect your data. So here is how we are going to let you know about that. Be strategic with usernames and passwords. I want to stress the importance of the first 2 bullet points on this slide. Again, cybercriminals know that most people use the same or very similar passwords on multiple accounts to make it easier to remember the password. In fact, cybercriminals count on it because the tendency is so common. The reason using the same password makes it easier for you to remember your password equates to making it much easier for these criminals too. So they guess the password and they reuse it to access all of their victims' accounts quickly, making the devastation thorough and fast. And while it's tempting to keep passwords memorable by reusing them, it's really like offering cybercriminals the key to your palace. So using a password manager again here is really the key, and also changing your password often. A lot of sites now will automatically make you change your password every 90 days just to keep the cybercriminals on their toes. All right, and the next one is search safely. Only use wireless networks you trust and know are protected. I know a lot of us go to Starbucks, and when we go there and sit and read for a little while, we use the Starbucks Wi-Fi. And if you ever use that, you will see that you have to sign a terms and conditions and to proceed with that, and most people don't read that, but actually what it is saying is that while you use Starbucks Wi-Fi, they are allowed to siphon information from your phone about your location and your identity, and while this is mostly benign, why take the chance in doing it? So I really don't recommend using any public Wi-Fi. The best way to combat against this is using a VPN, which is a virtual private network, which basically is like a post office box. You hide your identity. It doesn't let anybody know where you are, so you can get all your mail. You can be on the internet, but nobody knows where you live or where you are. So a VPN is really important, and something that I would recommend paying for. Most of them are about $40 a year, and it's really just a very useful tool. All right, the next slide is protecting your money. We will never call or email you asking for your personal information. If you get a call from someone you suspect may be a social engineer, get off the phone immediately and do not call any phone numbers they provide. You can always contact the institution that they say that they're from directly and authenticate the call, but never provide this information over the phone. I also want to talk about reviewing your credit card and cell phone statements. Like I said before, with the call forwarding threat, just maybe one Sunday a month, go over all of your financial statements, your credit card statements, your phone statements, just to make sure everything looks legitimate. I also want us to consider subscribing to an identity monitoring program, such as LifeLock. They will monitor your credit and social security number and alert you of any suspicious activity. Some of the big companies that have been hacked recently, like Target, Home Depot, Yahoo, I know that they have given their clients a free trial of LifeLock to prevent any identity stealing from their clients, from their email hacks. All right, the next one is limit what you share online. Again, just very important because it's so new in this day and age, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We don't know what all that information is doing out on the web and who's looking at it. And just keep your personal information private and safe. And the next one is, of course, safeguard your email accounts. Obtain a secure storage programs to which archive sensitive private data and documents instead of storing emails. You can also create separate email accounts specifically for financial transactions, and you also want to delete all emails and include financial information. Remember our discussion about the risk of a hacker obtaining access to your email account and reading all your new sent and saved emails. Because of this common threat, I recommend using the secure storage program and not leaving sensitive data and attachments in your email inbox or folders.
Jessica, maybe you can talk a little bit about ShareFile and trying to make sure that all of our clients use ShareFile. We have a couple of questions coming in on that.
Got it. Okay. So all of our employees at Cutler use ShareFile. We have a link in our email signature where it says click here to send files securely. That means any files that we send you or you send us are encrypted and cannot be intercepted through the email when they're sent. So you've probably all received emails from us if we're sending you applications or any forms to fill out. We will always use ShareFile to make sure that your account is encrypted and it can't be intercepted by hackers. Thank you, Nat, for bringing that up. All right, and the next one, this is my second biggest pet peeve of the day that I told you about, is keeping your equipment up to date. You want to make sure, especially on your mobile devices, that all of your applications and your software is up to date, because companies will weekly make security changes to those applications, and you want to make sure that you've got the latest technology. You also want to back up your data by performing a secure erase or have the device vendor wipe your device. You also want to make sure that your PC has all of the Windows updates. They will update it every Tuesday of the month with new updates. You want to make sure that you keep up to date with that. All right. And we've covered a lot of information today, and I know it can be overwhelming to think about all of the cyber threats and how to avert attacks. But hopefully you found the information we've discussed to be helpful, and I want you to know that we'll work together on protecting your identity, data, and assets. You can feel free to call me or email me at any time with any cybersecurity questions. Also, if your account is at Charles Schwab, they are really big on cybersecurity, and you can call the Schwab Alliance number to alert them of any suspicious emails that you receive, and they also have a learning center on how you can better protect your data with them. Also, if you want to protect yourself with cyber liability insurance, we recommend Micheletti Insurance Services for that, and the website is there, michelettiinsurance.com. And then lastly, these are additional resources. Just government resources and other webs. I want to point out on the right side of the page, the ftc.gov. That is a very good one. If you have had your identity stolen, you go to ftc.gov and search for identity theft, and they will give you a step-by-step instruction on who to call, how to report everything, and the timeline in which you should do that. So it's very helpful for that. I will also be emailing everyone who attended today a one-page flyer of all of the highlights that I have mentioned. You can keep that handy and refer to that if you have any questions about that. And that concludes our presentation today, and I thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Jessica. We appreciate your comments, and we will get that one-page flyer out to anybody who wants it. In addition, if you want the full presentation here, please let us know. You can contact any of your advisors at Cutler, and we'd be happy to get this for you. Cutler does take cybersecurity very seriously, and we know that you do as well. If you have questions that Jessica can address later, feel free to email her at jessica@cutler.com or give us a call here at the office, 800-2288-537. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We appreciate you joining us for a cybersecurity webinar, and we look forward to seeing each of you in the new year. Have a great holiday.